Should we say welcome aboard like Lenny does? Like welcome aboard? Or no, just say good evening. It's Monday night. It's time for the roundtable. Malpal sounds like he's got something to say. How about you, Mitch? Say hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Here we are at the, I don't know, it's a Monday. We're getting to the point in baseball where I guess we got 6 or 7 weeks behind us. I guess traditionally you start making your changes around Memorial Day, and we're coming up on that. So it's time that things that are going on in fantasy baseball are becoming real. They're not just short-term things. Anything on your mind today, Mr. Malpal?
I think it was interesting here. We got some fairly significant injuries going on that just were reported.
Yeah, can you talk those up? I remember seeing that, but not going through it.
Sure. I see impacts several of my teams. Jose Abreu looks like he's out for the week, but they did not put him on the IL, so that's a positive thing. But he hurt his ankle, I guess, in that controversial play at the end of the game. Among other things, he had a rough weekend. From literally from his head to his toes, he got banged up pretty good. So
I saw facial lacerations and everything.
Yeah, and then I see Danny Duffy, who's been quite good, has the old dreaded forearm complaints. I think that's what it was. And he was put on the IL. And that could be significant, especially us only leaguers. That's a lot of innings to give up. That's a decent
Duffy was quite a surprise this year.
Don't forget the moron in Noah. Why? And
yeah, that's a good one. That's what I was thinking of.
Who banged his hand in the dugout when he left the game after getting racked and broke his hand.
Yep, that's a good one.
Yep.
That's the one I was thinking when I saw something that slipped my mind.
Numbskull.
It looks like Joe Tardif has joined us. I want to say hello to him.
Hi, Joe.
Say hello.
How's it going? Just got back from getting a truck, so that's an all-day experience.
Joe got a new vehicle.
Good for you, Joe.
What'd you get?
Silverado. Traded in the previous one that we just got. COVID kind of makes the trade-in values a little higher, so took advantage of it this time.
Oh, really?
Well, I got Mitch. Do you remember Claude Osteen?
I do.
Actually, I remember him too.
Yeah,
vaguely from my early.
I didn't get a truck, but I got my signed card back from him today, which is always exciting for us baseball.
He's still around?
He's still alive.
Where is he at now, Malpal?
He's in Texas.
He was a heck of a guy.
He's a good player, good pitcher. Remember vaguely as a kid, you know.
How did you find him?
Well, I belong to this site where they publish guys signing autographs. So I send out an old card of mine, and $5 later in a return envelope.
That's not bad at all.
It's kind of fun.
People out there. You know, I'm just looking over this outline, and I'm going to wait a little bit to see if Andrew gets here. You know, one thing that we used to do that we haven't done for a little bit is, anyone make any significant waiver pickups this week they want to talk about?
Ooh. I think I actually have a couple.
All right, go ahead, Joe. Who'd you get this week?
Let me see if they actually went through. Let me see if I won it.
Well, talk about who you were thinking about getting.
I picked up in ours. Griffin Canning was still there, and he's been pretty well the last 3 weeks, last 3 or 4 starts.
Yeah, I looked at that. He had a decent last couple of starts.
Cole Urban's is not flashy, but he's been getting 6 innings, quality starts. It's been helping.
He's the 2021 version of Chris Bassett.
And somebody in my league dropped Eduardo Suarez as he was struggling.
Eugenio Suarez.
And Suarez. He was slumping. I go in there. I was like 95% owned. Why is he still here? And put in a claim, and nobody touched him.
Well,
he's been hot since he moved to shortstop.
He's been hot?
Since he's moved to shortstop, he's been hitting well.
or it says he moved to third from.
Third. So
because he does have the lowest qualified batting average in the National League at 153.
Yeah, he's been hitting better since they've moved him over. It's been
you can't go wrong picking up a guy like that.
No,
Yeah,
I mean, our league it's dynasty, but you can only keep the guys for 3 years, so it kind of keeps keeps it going. So he's got 1 year left on a pretty high salary, so it was worth stashing on my team. And if he hits, I get a nice utility bat. If he doesn't, I just drop him at the salary, and he'll probably sit there.
By picking him up, you can't get 3 new years. You got to go under his.
No, you got to wait till they clear.
Yeah, that does.
There's loopholes around it, but I haven't done it this year just yet. The commissioner's been watching me the last couple of years.
I tried to yank Andrea into the discussion, and she yanked herself out for a moment. So I'm going to continue to go with this. How about you, Melpal? Did you pick up anybody this week?
In a dynasty league, a 15-team dynasty, someone dropped Gary Sanchez. So I went for him. I put in $25 of $1,000 fab and did not get him. One guy I did like, and I was going to talk about him maybe later, was Dylan. Okay, well, Dylan Moore, and we can talk about him later.
Yeah, I think Dylan Moore will come up on different.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hi everybody.
Hi, Andy.
Welcome, McQueen. How are you doing tonight, Andrea?
Well, I have 2 different earrings on, so if
I'm also wearing 2 different earrings.
If that tells you anything, okay. Anyways, I'll just take this one out. Okay, so you guys, I love the rundown tonight. Let's just get going with it. I'm so sorry I'm late, but you guys started without me, and that's
I was late.
You're talking about waiver wire pickups, Andy.
Yeah, we were just trying to kill a little
We
time.
go back to the start of your agenda.
Okay, my agenda is to analyze this trade. It's I love the grade the trade segment, okay? And so today it was mentioned, I'm not going to say which one of us, but there was a trade offer made of Luis Castillo for Trent Grisham. And we're just going to go around the room and we're going to say what we think. And obviously this depends on what your team looks like and such, but let's just say all things being equal, like, it's Luis Castillo and Trent Grisham. Douglas, I'll start with you.
I don't see any problem with it. I guess I like the Grisham side better, but I'll take the bat over the pitcher almost every time. They're sort of in the same category in my head. It's like Luis Castillo before the season was like in that second, maybe third category of pitchers, and Grisham was in that second, third category of outfielders. Considering what Castillo has done so far this year, I'm not a big fan of buying. I mean, there's such thing as buying low, which is cool, but buying bad, I'm not into.
Well, what would be buying bad? Would you be buying bad on Castillo?
Castillo hasn't shown enough stuff to make me think he's been. I mean, honestly speaking, I haven't drafted him in any league because he hasn't shown me enough to merit the draft space that he already has been getting. If he was 2 or 3 rounds back, I might have picked him. And so, where he's at now, and he's basically proving himself right. He wasn't worth his draft spot. It doesn't mean he's not good. It doesn't mean he wasn't worth like a 46th pick.
Okay, Malcolm, what do you think of Zach Gallen or Trent Grisham?
Luis Castillo.
Yes. Why am I talking Gallen? Because I'm like,
if I'm playing in a league just for this year, I would take Grisham in a second. I guess the question for me, I would ask, is in a dynasty league, who would you rather have?
Okay, and who would it be?
If you take out, I would probably go Grisham because I think he's a real deal. And I always like Douglas. I kind of always go for the hitter over the pitcher, but I think it changes the thinking a little bit if you're playing in a dynasty versus a yearly. It looks like Castillo's just going to have a bad year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Long term, who knows?
They both have dynasty value.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both obviously Castillo's a little bit older than Grisham by about 3.5 years. Joe, nice to see you, dude. How's it going?
I'm doing good.
It's your turn to say if you like Castillo or Grisham.
It's the Grisham side. I don't think it's particularly close. I got to watch the last 2 Castillo starts, And when I see 3 or 4 swing and misses, it's just not enough to. And Grisham, I see being 25 probably this year, hit 280, 290. I mean, he's on pace for that.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to hit over 300, but he doesn't strike out a lot, and he's got a decent amount of walks. So that's not a bad profile.
It's looking good. And last year it looked good too. He had 10 home runs and 10 stolen bases last year, meaning that he would have been on pace for a 30-30 season if it would have been a full season. And now he already has looks like he has 5 home runs and 7 stolen bases. He's batting .301. I agree that he probably won't do that. But I mean, I really do feel like his problem, my biggest problem with him is that he strikes out so much. He strikes out 26% of the time, but he does take walks. So obviously that does help out a little bit. And in on-base percentage leagues, it's way better. But
I mean, Trout's strikeout numbers are way up this year, but his walks are kind of his strikeouts are, I wouldn't say alarming because Trout does everything else well, but Trout's nearing 33% strikeout rate this year, and I never thought that would happen. Ever.
Mitch, I took you last because it was your trade that you were offered that trade. And I agree with you because I actually like to say that I think I put more value in pitchers than I do hitters because I don't think there's that many really good ones. Grisham is obviously having a great season, but what's your reasoning for not taking that trade off?
Okay, number one, it's the Legacy League. I've got Grisham for $5 for next year. I can extend him for 2 years after that for another 10 and have him for $15 through 2024.
Oh wait, you were offered Castillo for Grisham.
Yes.
Oh,
I declined it. I declined it immediately.
Good choice.
Huh?
Yes, everybody agrees with you except for I don't know if I do. I don't know. It depends on who I had.
Grisham was one of the most egregious mistakes ever made by the Milwaukee Brewers because the ball took a bad bounce in a 1-game playoff. It took the Brewers out of the playoff, and they immediately got rid of him for Luis Urias, who is yet to show he can play Major League Baseball. Really, really bad trade. Can you imagine the Brewers, how much they'd like to have Grisham in the outfield right now?
Sure.
They need a bat.
They're not. I'm sorry, Milwaukee. I mean, whenever I think of bad trades, I think of either the Mets or the Mariners, and I always think of these two teams when I think of bad trades. But I still do believe in Castillo. I'm going to give him another chance this week. I did bench him last week, thank goodness, but now he has 2 starts. So what's a girl to do? But I thought that was
he's got nowhere to go but up, Andrea.
Yeah, this is so
well,
true.
not this week. Coors Field is not
that's
right, too friendly.
But that's the kind of thing that's going to happen usually. Is like a guy will be really, really horrible, then you'll assume he's going to be pathetic.
He's going to get better.
He'll throw a 7-inning gem in Coors, and we'll be like, "Ooh!"
Of course, that'd be the odds.
He also dangled Dylan Bundy for Grisham, and I wouldn't do that either.
Bundy's
on the DL. Bundy's injured. Yeah,
Andrew, why would you? I'm curious. I heard you mention that you side with the going after the pitcher over the hitter, where the 4 of us said they'd rather go over, or at least Douglas and I said we'd rather have the hitter. Why do you think that? I'm curious.
Well, all of you guys agree that you'd rather have the hitter in this case, at least, anyways. But I feel like look at Harrison Bader. He's free. You could pick up Harrison Bader, and if you needed an outfielder or if you needed a whatever, I just feel like there's always an offensive player to pick up, and there's not always a good pitcher to pick up.
There are at least 30 pitchers out there that have better stats than Luis Castillo.
All of them do. Every single.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the same way. I'd rather have the pitcher if the pitcher was actually good. I'm just not.
If it was Trevor Rogers, I would have made the trade.
Yeah, or if it was Clayton Kershaw or
Trevor Rogers. So that's the thing. So you guys are all basing what you're going to do this year, and this is exactly why people try to buy low on this guy, or they try to sell whatever they try to do. If you guys don't believe that Luis Castillo is going to get his shit together, but this is a great pitcher. In my opinion, he's one of the best pitchers.
I think he's top 15, top 20 if we can figure out what the heck is going on.
I would
Easily.
agree with top 20, it maybe, but there's a big drop off between 12 and 13. It's a chasm. It's a chasm.
You got to get a good hitter for him. Pitching is going to be tough. Like Trevor Rogers, I'm not touching because I think Rogers gets shut down later. I think Castillo gets his stuff together. I think he gets his stuff together a little later, but do you hold on to him for another 2 months and for the playoff run?
I agree that Trevor Rogers doing that trade for Trevor Rogers
is close.
It's a bad mistake. He's not going to pitch enough innings, and he's going to get. His innings are going to get limited. That's something that I think that everybody should think about. And Luis Castillo is one of the few that you can rely on for a couple hundred innings if he's healthy. But he seems that he's healthy. I don't really know what's going on, but he said that he is leaving his pitches. 70% of his pitches are in the zone. They're like staying in the zone. There's no movement on his pitches. So
no.
Trent Grisham is tough, though. I mean, I just kind of want to go against you guys. I just kind of like to be the opposite side of the.
That's no worries.
No, that's,
you could make an argument for Castillo.
If his changeup would be halfway to what it was, I would probably keep Castillo. I just don't see anything in his best pitch.
He has a few pitches. I mean, he rolls with several pitches, so he's got arsenal. But I don't know. I just wanted to disagree. So let's go right into this idea of you wanted to talk about some pitchers and if you think that they're the real deal or if there's trouble coming on the horizon.
I think this was whose segment was this one?
I think it's you, Joe.
I think I did. No, I did. Blue skies or gray. Yeah, no, they're on the rise. I do own most of them on that list, but yes.
Who did Blue Skies or Gray? Who is it?
I did if they're essentially Blue Skies or Gray.
Yeah,
on the rise.
The reason that I brought it up is because Trevor Rogers is the first pitcher on the list, and I figured we could just do the segue right into Trevor Rogers from the trade talk. Pitching performance is very effective. I mean, this guy is effective on the base, like with pitches. He only needed 87 pitches to get through 6 innings, which I mean is not that great, but in this day and age, it seems like it is. He just got his 5th win the other day. If he could go deeper into starts a little bit, he would be even more useful. But your argument is that you feel like he's not going to have full innings for the rest of the season. I
mean, I drafted him 3rd round in our dynasty because based on last year, I do have hopes for him. It all depends on if the Marlins pitching staff can stay well. The Marlins are not a team that can't not get a wild card spot because the Marlins, I think they can hit enough. That pitching staff flounders. August. They're going to limit him down and probably shut him down. That's all.
But if it doesn't flounder, you think that they'll see. He did pitch. I'll say this: he did pitch like 130 innings in 2019. So he's made it past the 100 innings threshold. You know,
his stuff's good. His stuff's really, really good. It's just. I don't know. I don't know long term, but I think he's going to stay that way.
Do you recommend trading this guy? Do you recommend making a trade for any guy that is going to be limited on innings? How long do you wait till you make a trade with these guys?
I have him now. If someone gave me a top 20 pitcher, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think Rogers can be in that range now the way he's pitching. If I got a top 20 guy in season long, I'd probably move him. Dynasty, I'm not touching. It would have to be insane for me to leave him in Dynasty.
I traded him for Zach Wheeler and Michael Kopech.
Are you kidding me?
I would do that trade hands down.
Holy shoot. I can curse on this show. Holy shoot. I'll still curse.
And the guy didn't have to throw in Kopech. The reason I wanted Wheeler is just because of what Joe's talking about, and that is I anticipated a severe innings limit. That was the only reason.
Yeah,
I think Taylor is better.
Wheeler is better. Phenomenal.
Well, Wheeler's pitch not bad. I mean, Wheeler's not a slug.
He's I'm telling you what, he is reliable for a couple hundred innings.
And somebody said in the league chat room, you fool, why did you throw in Kopech?
Don't listen to what they say. They don't know what's best.
Wheeler's going to have a 3.5 ERA, and he's going to have a K per 9. And pitch 200 innings. That's a top 30 pitcher.
That was my logic, Joe. 200 innings.
And you got Michael Kopech, who could probably have his innings limited and then pitch later as a full-time starter.
Kopech, I may keep Kopech for next year. I don't care if he does anything this year.
Joe, Freddie Peralta was on your list. I assume it was Freddie Peralta. I think it is.
Yeah, I've had him for 2 or 3 years, just hoping they finally converted him to the starter role.
Yes.
His stuff is – I was a little worried when he was throwing 93 early, even though he's got a good spin rate now. I think last time he got 96, 97 pretty consistently. He's got a third pitch, but it's not there yet. But that slider is just – he's not going to keep a 2.5 ERA. What'd you say?
Freddie Peralta.
Freddie Peralta. He's not going to keep a 2.5 ERA and a .89 WHIP. But, I mean, you could get 6 innings and 9 Ks and give up 2 or 3 earned runs. I think that's a pretty safe line with him.
In the last 38 innings, I believe that is maybe 5 starts. Maybe this is the whole. Does he have a 2.84 ERA on the season?
Yeah, 2.84 and an 0.89 WHIP.
So his whole season, 38 innings, this guy has a 7.88 ERA on the road and a 1.50 ERA at home.
Yeah.
What do you make of that? Do you make anything of that? Pitch him on the road. He's horrible on the road.
I mean, they do go to some hitter-friendly parks. Like Cincinnati's pretty rough to go to. Pittsburgh's not bad.
He's only thrown 8 innings on the road, though, and 30 innings at home. So is that a big enough sample size to make a judgment on that?
That's not enough. And we haven't even got to the summer yet where that ball is going to start to fly. So no.
Yeah, true.
I still expect him to be he'll be a high 3, low 4 ERA, but he'll average almost a K and a half every 9. I mean, he's got 69 Ks now, and
he's good at Kane. But what about does this matter that for the last 3 seasons, the left on base percentage, the stranded runners percentage is about 65%, and right now it's 85%. Does that bother you that the stranded runners, so many are?
Every single start, Freddie Peralta worries me because he'll get a couple innings with 2 people on base, and then he'll strike out 2 or 3 and get out of it. That's a high strand rate. That's not somewhere you want to live. But I mean, when you got strikeout potential, he just doesn't last 7 innings because he goes 90 pitches. That's his only. You're not going to get 8 or 7 innings hardly ever out of Peralta.
Do you ever look at the batting average on balls in play at all with him or anybody?
I have not. I do, but I have not looked on him.
A lot of people don't think it even matters, really, especially for pitchers. I don't think it's the best thing to look for. I'm concerned about the fact that he leaves too many runners stranded, that the batting average on balls in play is only 210, so that is probably going to even out. I'm not really sure that Milwaukee's defense is this good to continue this, but obviously he's been doing great, and they have put him into the rotation, so I don't have a lot. What about Matt Barnes? It was Matt Barnes that you want, right, Matt?
I think that was
who brought up Matt Barnes?
I don't think I did Barnes.
Okay, who?
I did Corbin Barnes. That's it. That's who I did.
You got to say the full name. You already.
I'm sorry. I was driving in the truck. I was driving in the truck trying to.
Hey, okay. So you got your new truck. That's good, right? You got your new truck.
Yeah, but it was a pain trying to get to say what I'm saying in the truck. So Corbin Barnes was my guy.
Barnes.
It's Barnes.
I would trade high if you can because you're not going to get 52 strikeouts to 1 walk. That ratio. That's if you could sell. I mean, he's already high now, but I mean, if you could get, what would be the limitation for him?
But your reason for this is the fact that you don't expect him to continue this strikeout rate, but he's been doing this.
He's never really. He had a walk problem when they were calling up. That's the reason they kept him in the bullpen the first half season. They didn't really bring him up.
Last year he struck out 88 batters in 59 innings.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. His stuff is good. I just don't know how he's going to hold up in a full season because that was his worry. But he's not Trevor Rogers. His stuff. He's way. I think he's playing. I think he's good. I just don't think where he's at. I mean, what's his ERA now? What?
It's 157, dude. It's low. I mean, it's low, but his FIP is 0.47.
The problem is what do you get for him? Like if you're Like, what's on the level to move him if you?
I wouldn't sell him, dude. I just wouldn't.
I traded him for Blake Snell and Bobby Witt Jr.
He doesn't have a lot of innings, though, you guys, very much. He had 60 last year, but any year before that, the max that he's pitched in a season is like 100 innings total.
Yeah, that's my. I mean, I traded him I traded him in one of my second league right before the offseason because I just didn't think I was going to get enough innings to make it work.
He's only walked one batter this entire season.
I know.
Okay.
I traded him for. It was Manny Machado because I needed third base.
Oh, that's great. That's good.
Yeah. I needed a bat. He needed a young arm. I figured that would be that's not bad. But you do that trade now, I don't think I think obviously Corbin Barnes right now you would take over Manny Machado right now.
Mitchell, did you go? I wonder if Mitchell can hear me. Can you hear me, Mitchell?
Yes.
Did you go fill up your drink?
No. I tried to keep the cat from chewing up my charging cords.
I like it when you have beverages with me. You're the only one. Me and you. Cheers.
I have water.
Oh, that's lame. Okay,
I didn't have water last week. You might have figured that out.
I loved it. I thought it was great, fun. That's why I said something. I hope you have drinks every week. It's fun.
I was a little bit over the top, I think.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I know what you feel. I know how you feel. Okay, I feel half the time I feel the same way. But what are you gonna do? Okay. So we talked about. I love Corbin Burnes. Do any of you guys, Douglas, Malpal, Mitchell? What do you think of Corbin Burnes? If you have any opinion of him, Lenny would.
Like I said, I had him and I traded him for Blake Snell and Bobby Witt Jr. because of the same reasons I traded Trevor Rogers. We have a 950 innings minimum in my league.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get it with these people that are going to get shut down after 140 innings. I don't think Corbin Burnes is going to pitch over 160 innings.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get the guys that I think are going to have 180 innings or above. I probably put too much weight on it, but you're disqualified. I'm in my two money leagues I'm in, the prize money. Both of them have 950 inning limits. If you have 949, you're disqualified.
I got you, dude.
That is a showstopper.
So have you already traded away all of the pitchers that you started the season with that you feel are not going to make 200?
Well, I did a hell of a job in the auction. I mean, I got Trevor Rogers on a fab bid for $15.
Okay.
I did a hell of a job in the auction. I'm in second place right now with a score of about 114. I'm doing very well. So I'm getting reluctant to make trades in this league because everything is going so well, but the worm can turn.
It's going to. It's all about knowing when to trade, right? It's all about knowing when.
Right.
But Matt Barnes, you can trade if you could, because I don't think he's going to walk only 3 guys like he's doing now as a closer for Boston. Matt Barnes.
No, that's true. That's true.
You're stuck on Matt Barnes, Joe.
Look! I he's one of my closers, and I'm looking to move him if I can get anything because
he only had one bad outing.
Okay, but he does walk he walks way more guys than this, but he is probably going to hold on to this closing role, and he does strike out a lot of batters. So it just depends on where your shortcomings are in your league. But obviously, Matt Barnes is already on somebody's team, and I just put him there because I thought that's who he meant. Corbin Burnes.
I apologize.
No problem. But okay, let's talk. I put Vince Velasquez on there. Or maybe someone else did, but I would not be surprised if I put him on there because I did think of him when I saw this topic.
He has the annual Vince Velasquez. I call
Saga,
it
drama.
The red carpet walk. He does it every year for about 4 starts. He's unhittable.
I don't think so.
And then he falls apart.
Oh, well.
He has a good streak almost every year.
What do you think of him, Malpal? Are you familiar with Vincent? Our boy Vincent?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Velasquez. I think he's had 7 years to prove what he is, and he's not very good. So
He's just a multi-in guy.
I think these are the type of guys I always let someone else get, because he's going to throw in a good game every once in a while, and he could have a good year. I don't know. We don't know, but the track record suggests he is not even an average major league starting pitcher. So he's an end game filler. I don't expect him to come around and be some hold it up for a whole year. Could be wrong, but there's just nothing to suggest that anything's changed.
Well, what if I told you that his ground ball percentage and his strikeout percentage is huge this year?
What is it?
Well, it's not that huge.
He's always struck out people.
But he's striking out a lot of batters, 29% strikeout rate and a 44.4% ground ball rate. But my thing with him is that I would be more interested I think I really want to look at his game log for the last couple seasons to see if Mitchell's right about the fact that he puts together a string of good starts. Like, I know that he's been tempting a couple times in the past years, but 7 years is a long time to get your shit together. And with him, he has just not been able to get his shit together. I do think, though, for some reason, I feel like he has got his shit together, because I feel like he's using the correct pitch mix, and that's been a problem for him. He's actually walking more batters than he did in previous years, but in the span of his last couple games, like the last, if I went back 4 starts, 21 innings, he's given up 5 home runs, and his ERA is still 2.53, and his WHIP is 1.13. He gives up way too many home runs. That's his biggest problem.
He's given up 2 home runs per 9 innings, over 2. That's terrible.
Yeah, he's got a real problem.
Andrea,
yeah.
His 3-year average statistics are 20 games started, 99 innings, 6 wins, 7 losses, ERA 4.95, WHIP 1.39. He does have an average of 112 K for 99 innings, which is more than a strikeout per inning. He has 112 K and 40 walks.
Dude,
that's a 3-year average.
I know.
It's mediocrity personified, as Malpal says.
I agree with you, but I just still have faith in him, because I've been liking watching him pitch forever, and I'm biased, obviously, because I agree with the logic that you guys are spewing out. It's totally true.
Well, here's what's interesting. He's a free agent in my 15-team league. He's on the waiver wire.
Yes, he's on the waiver wire. And in let's talk about just the last 3 starts. Yes, I know he's given up 3 home runs in 3 starts, but that's better than what he was doing. And I'm just saying, he has a 1.59 ERA, and he goes up against Miami this week. So if he's available, I would stream him this week if you don't have to commit too much to him or drop anybody decent to get him.
That's fine.
Maybe he's having a good streak right now, but he's been looking really good. Philly, is Philly's defense crappy or no?
No, that's one of my topics. Girardi got in Segura's face. Did you see it?
Oh, he's been committing errors though, dude. Segura.
Girardi, they had to pull the 2 of them apart. Girardi's going to take them on yesterday.
What? Girardi doesn't do that.
Huh?
I've never seen Girardi act like that.
Well, it was on ESPN. Yeah, it was bad.
Holy bro.
Yeah, it was.
They threw the game away. They have lost 11 games, according to MLB Channel this morning. They've lost 11 games this year because of defense errors. 11.
Yeah, well, that's bad. So Vincent Velasquez is like a no-go. Listen,
I could get him for $2 this weekend.
I think what you said was right. Is he's a streamer.
Okay.
Good matchups. Go ahead and use him.
Now, if he has starting pitcher and relief pitcher eligibility, he's very valuable then.
In some leagues, that's true.
Yeah, that's that. Then I could consider keeping him for both. But
Oh, I gotta check that. I wonder if I think I
don't.
no.
You got to do what, 5s?
Hold on, I've got it. I've got the CBS thing.
From
right
last
here.
year though. From last year, I think he qualified as
Yeah, a lot of starting pitchers got relief appearances last year.
Okay.
I'll tell you in just a minute.
Okay,
In,
so let's
in
talk.
CBS, his eligibility is
Starting pitcher.
pitcher, not relief pitcher.
He's got both in Yahoo.
Okay.
Yeah. So he may get relief because I'm sure they're not going to use his arm that much.
Let's talk about Albert Pujols for a minute. I love that the Dodgers are batting him clean up. He deserves it.
That's amazing.
What are they doing though? I mean, if you think about what are they doing as far as trying to win the game?
Okay, I'll tell you. I get the Dodger blog. Okay.
Okay.
Let me tell you some quick points on Pujols. This is not just about putting fannies in the seats, which is what I characterized it as when they did it.
Okay.
Pujols right now on their roster would have the 5th best batting average against left-handers of any hitter on their roster right now today.
Okay.
Pujols
So they need him
against left-handers. He's starting tonight.
Great.
Batting cleanup against Bumgarner. I believe it's Bumgarner.
Okay.
So they have a niche. Andy, they have a niche for him. This isn't just about a public relations ploy. They think, you know who they love? They love David Freese. They said they think he can do what David Freese did for them for a couple of years, where David Freese was one of the best pickups a team ever made.
Mm-hmm.
He was terrific in a very limited role. Now the question, will Big Albert be happy with that? Because he wasn't happy with a part-time role in Anaheim.
He did thank the Dodgers today on his Twitter account by joining them.
I say that again?
He did thank the Dodgers for picking him up and can't wait on his Twitter account. So I think he's going to be happy with that role. He wants another ring. I think he said he was ready for another championship run.
Well, I'm all in on it. I think they got him for
Cattail.
practically nothing. They got him for practically nothing.
I mean, you're going to put Pujols in the playoffs against left-handed pitching as a pitch hit situation.
Hold on. Did they get him for nothing, or does his contract go with him, which includes $10 million?
The way I read it, Arnie Moreno's on the docket to pay the rest of his salary.
Yeah.
They're paying the league minimum, is what I read.
Oh, good. Great
Yeah.
for them. Okay, I love it. Maybe they worked it out. Maybe they talked, and maybe they agreed. You know, we don't really know what goes on behind closed doors, and maybe the Angels and Albert Pujols agreed that maybe it was best that they let him go. Then some other team could pick them up, and they would pay his salary going forward. The rest.
I don't like taking plate appearances away from Max Muncy, though. Max Muncy can hit left-handers.
Wait, isn't he playing first base?
Yes, he's playing first base tonight.
Muncie's playing second tonight.
Huh?
Muncie's playing second.
Pujols is playing first base, and they're going to push Muncy over to second base.
It's going to push Chris Taylor to more of a part-time role again.
That's right.
Go
And
ahead.
Watch is going to fill in at shortstop.
Malpal, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's good timing for Pujols because they're going to play. Lux moves to shortstop. Muncy moves to second. Pollock's down. I mean, as predicted, he's down. So Taylor's going to have plenty of opportunities to get his at-bats, assuming he's healthy. So I think it's a good – I think Pujols is a guy that may be worth grabbing if he's out there.
Who is this DJ Peters? I don't even know who this is.
He's one of their minor leaguers.
They always have those kind of – he's okay, like most of their minor leaguers are.
I think he's a 4A guy, is my opinion. I think he's 28.
He's playing in today's lineup.
I know. I'm not picking on somebody being 28, but you don't have a lot of 28-year-old prospects.
You know he's going to come in and hit 400 the first week with the Dodgers because that's what they seem to do with everybody they call up.
The question is, why isn't Chris Taylor playing center field?
Chris Taylor's got a wrist issue, Douglas.
Okay, so it's a lot of injuries there.
A little banged up, yeah.
So the whole team's banged up.
I mean, who ain't banged up?
On the Dodgers, about everyone is, which is good. Sure, their mothers don't like it, but I appreciate their injuries.
There you go, Malpal.
That brings up, okay, another segue into a different topic about, is it time to reset on certain players? Like the only saving grace about the fact that the decline in hitting is league wide and that there's injuries going on everywhere. So every team is affected somewhat by players either not performing or they're not healthy. And so what do you, Malpal brought this up, so I'll give him the first explanation about like what he thinks. But he says, given decrease in offense this year, should we be honest with ourselves and reset our expectations for certain players? And I would say, which ones, like, do you mean? But there is a topic to be had here, a conversation to be had about when it's time to change your expectations and let go, say goodbye to your previous crush, your man crush. For me, it's a woman crush. I don't know. Go ahead, Malpal.
I think the reason I brought this up is more. I mean, isn't it at the end of the day, if the league average is 232, then it's all kind of relative to what the league average is for these guys, right? So,
right, yes.
So if a guy's, this could be the year that 260 is pretty dang good.
Yeah.
So
like, should we stop?
I'm really on the fence. This is why I brought it up. I'm curious because the weather, when it starts heating up, you get a guy like Jose Abreu, who's notorious for heating up in end of May and June. He's heating up already. He's up to 255. He was one of these guys at 200. So are there going to be more guys like this?
Yes. Yes.
I think it's an interesting thing. But the league average is down even below historically for this date and time. So I just find it interesting. The other point, the way I brought it up is, and I may be wrong on this, but this is how I think, and this might be more of an issue when it comes to our draft, when we draft. Aren't most of these hitters kind of predictable what they're going to do? So I don't, so the fact that Michael Conforto's hitting 202 instead of 240, but the league average is 232, is that really a concern? I mean, we know
it is when he's not stealing bases and he's not hitting homers. That's a big problem.
He's never been a base stealer.
That's true. You're right.
Conforto's never been a base stealer.
You're right. You're right.
I guess what I was getting at though is there's a few surprises, but isn't most of this stuff kind of predictable about where these batters are going to be? I mean, are we really that smart to know who's going to be the breakout player?
But Malpa, what you're saying is also a compelling reason to stick with what you got, because if you trade for someone expecting greater performance for just the reasons you give, you could end up with someone worse than what you got.
I mean, there's always a handful of guys, that break out, but we're wrong more than we're right on these guys. But to me, I don't know. To me, predicting a batter's performance is the easiest thing to do in any of these sports. They're so predictable. Pitching is an entirely different issue.
How is it predictable? What stats are you using to predict?
Yeah, I want to get into that a little.
I mean, let's use Will Myers for instance. Okay, what's Will Myers?
What is he?
Does anyone think Will Myers will be a 300 hitter?
Absolutely not.
Ever? No.
No.
Does everyone think he's going to be a 250 hitter with 20 homers and 18 stolen bases?
Yes.
You can say that about him every year. His record is, these guys are within, I haven't done a statistical analysis, but it seems to me we know what these guys are going to do.
Well, there are guys out there. There's guys out there that we know who they are. There's a lot of guys that we don't. I think that half the league you're pretty good at predicting, and the other half I'm constantly surprised. I was looking through the stats, for the league this year, and like who's leading the American League and who's leading the National League in batting average? They're complete shocks, right?
Okay.
It's undrafted. You're in Mercedes. Any idea in National League?
No.
Yeah,
Take a guess.
The Pittsburgh second baseman, I think, has the most base hits in the National.
No, it's somebody you probably would guess. It's Jesse Winker. It's always.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Okay, but batting average is not something that stabilizes like this early in the season.
Say it about something else. Like among all the rookies that we were crazy about this year, who's the only rookie with 10 home runs?
The guy from Texas.
Adolis Garcia. Nobody predicted that.
Adolis.
Nobody predicted that whatsoever. You know, like
I never heard of Adolis Garcia, and I listened to hours and hours and hours during the spring. I never heard the name Adolis Garcia one time. I listened to Howard Bender. I listened to Lenny. I listened to Bowden. I listened to Phillips. I never heard the name Adolis Garcia.
If you watch Braves games in 2019 and 2020, his name came up because he's Adonis Garcia's brother.
Oh,
who played for them.
I remember that. Okay.
You know, so that was the only reason I heard of him, but he's from Cuba. But I mean, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, who would have thought like Jazz Chisholm would have done as well as he's done? He returned last night. There's always more surprise than not. I find in pitching, I find that easier to predict because there's a handful of good guys, and most of the guys, I would say that 80% of the pitchers disappoint you at least a few weeks every year, and that's clockwork to me. And that's the reason why I don't get gung ho about that middle tier of pitching. It's like, give me the guys at the top, give me the guys at the bottom that'll do better than what they're worth, even though they're not that good, because that's what I can get. And everything else is kind of volatile.
No,
the reason we do what we do, I mean, Will Myers is predictable, and there's a lot of guys like that. Justin Turner's predictable.
The more
Yadi Molina is predictable. But these other guys, there's a lot you can't.
All I'm saying is, and I might be the downer here, but I think you're talking about a handful of guys, the 5% that are either exceeding expectations, and we always talk about that.
I think it's more than 5%.
I think you do have to temper. You do have to reset a little with the biggest change with the new ball. Those guys that were getting that 330-foot home runs are not hitting them out of the park anymore. So you're going to have the normal guys going to hit 25, 30, 35, 40 home runs. But the guy that was hitting 25 may not be in that same boat anymore.
Adrian, did you read those articles I read you about the ball? I sent you 2 articles about them testing the ball, as far as like the length of traveling of balls this year based on the speed. Okay. And basically what they were saying is that the people that hit at the lower end of the barrel rate are losing the most distance. And so a lot of things that were home runs, if you were like a 25% launch angle, last year, 50% of those balls that hit 95 miles an hour at 25% launch angle were going to be home runs, 35 were going to be outs. This year, that's reversed. 35% are home runs.
You need an exit velocity of 100 or higher.
No, 105 is where you need to be. You have to be really high in order to get beyond that stuff. And also a higher launch angle helps, but not too high.
Not too high, but let me ask you a question to clarify what you just said. I didn't read the articles. I didn't see that you sent them, or I would have read it. But you're saying that it's affecting guys with the lower percentage of barrel of
they broke it down into each degree.
Well, that
and in 5 mile per hour. In 5 mile per hour increments. So like they did 95 to 100, 100 to 105, and then each degree. And it was the guys once you got to 115, everything was fine. 105, things were mostly fine. But the guys hitting 95 miles an hour who are hitting at the lower end of the barrel range, that 25, 26 range, are losing about 10% of their distance.
What does the 25 or 26% mean? That's not
25
the launch angle.
That's the angle. That's the barrel is between 25 and 31.
So name names.
Wait, you have to have a launch angle? No, hold on. The launch angle has to be what to get a barrel?
At 95 miles per hour. At 95 miles an hour, a barrel is 25 to 31. At 105, it grows by 2 degrees. At 115, it grows by 2 more degrees.
Okay, so you're doing this, but okay, so let's just say that 95 miles an hour is like on the lower. Basically, they're not hitting the ball as hard.
Well, they're hitting as hard as they were last year. Actually, on average, they're hitting the ball harder.
Yeah, the exit velocity is higher this year.
Okay,
but it's that if you don't launch it a little higher, that's where everyone said before the season they tested the balls. And we were going to lose between 6 and 12 feet, right? That's what they said.
That's not based on launch angle, though. So, but I mean,
it is completely based. So it's like when you.
So name
I'll bring up
who's
a name
suffering
that's
because of this?
not on the. I don't know on the list, but look at DJ LeMahieu. Do you think DJ LeMahieu is going to hit close to 30 home runs?
No.
he's horrible this
So,
year.
but the thing is he was hitting balls 330, 340. He wasn't hitting 450-foot shots. If we're losing, 12 feet, that guy goes from top 3 second baseman to maybe 7, 8 if he's not hitting 26, 27 runs.
LeMahieu is a very good example, Joe, of what
Gleyber Torres, another one.
Torres hit.
Austin Meadows.
Yep, Austin Meadows hit a
But
bunch
he's
of
not hitting the ball as hard this year either by a lot of percentage points. He's just not hitting it hard.
But-
So even
but
with or without the ball, it's not going to go that far.
different ball.
My point is, what are these numbers compared to the average in the rest of the league?
That's what I don't know. I'm going to have to look at StatCast.
I mean, we can talk about decrease this, decrease that, but it's really about what's their value.
I can't remember, but I know it was around 300 feet, and it was the exit velocity, I believe, was 1.5 miles or 2 mile an hour more. But if you hit around 300 feet, you lost 12 feet of distance. If you punch through that, there was no problem. If it was less, you hit less. You had to get past that barrier. So the people that can hit 450, they're not affected. Anybody in that borderline 320 range are the ones that are paying the price right now.
That's right.
But did anyone? I mean,
Yeah.
I'll speak for myself. I mean, I always go with history. I don't look at one season or 100 at bats. I did not think DJ LeMahieu, he's never been a 30 home run hitter. So I went into this year going, this guy's not a 30 home run
No,
hitter.
but it's Yankee Stadium.
I did not draft him as a 30 home run hitter. I drafted him as a 300 hitter because I think that's, or 290 hitter, because he's got a track record of that. But so I throw up his list. For me, that's all I'm saying is these guys, you look at their history and you peel back the onion a little bit, it's very predictable what they're going to do relative to the population of players, because that's how you get your value, right?
Well, DJ hit 26 and 19 when the ball was juiced. He's not getting. I mean, he could still get 26, but it's not going to be an easy 26 if he gets there. 2019 and 2021 are completely different worlds right now.
Right.
I
Based on what, though?
I drafted DJ LeMahieu high, but I wasn't thinking he was going to hit 28 home runs. I thought the average with 15, 18 home runs, with the runs scored in the RBIs that come in the Yankee lineup, makes him among the elite second basemen.
But he's getting drafted as the best most drafts.
And he probably was the best second baseman.
Yeah. Now, the other thing to the new ball, too, on top of the distance, pitchers are getting more horizontal and vertical movement because of it, too. They notice on a certain speed, they're getting an inch or two of vertical and horizontal movement, which in return is making hitting a little more trouble, too. I think I'm trying to remember who wrote that, too. It was in, gosh, it's killing me. I can't remember who it was.
It was Devin Frink.
Yeah, they're getting more movement, which is probably leading to the increased strikeouts.
Well, that's
probably
because the seams are raised.
Correct. It's probably leading to more hit by pitches because they're trusting a slider more than they really should. I mean, did you see May's fastball move this year? A little bit more than I've seen previous, and it moves.
I'm looking at the StatCast numbers between the barrel percentages, and it seems like barrels just keep going up every year. It went from like 6% in 2018 to now it's right now in 21, it is 8.2% of barrels are being hit. 8.2% of the time a barrel is hit. And the hard hit rate is 39.2%. Okay. So remember that. That's 2021. It's 39.2% hard hit rate on average.
A little up. The thing is that once they start tracking barrels, everyone's going to try to hit to the barrels. So it makes sense that it'll go higher because it's one of those things that a player can do. It's like if a guy is a 242 hitter and going into free agency, he can say like, hey, look, I hit the ball hard. I just had some bad luck. Sign me to your team. Give me $7 million or whatever, you know? So it's like people, once they know it's being tracked, people are playing to that. People are trying to hit the ball 100 miles an hour. People are trying to hit the ball in that zone more often than not. So a certain amount of, where in 1977 we didn't have that, no one cared.
We're not paying guys like the second baseman of Pittsburgh $10 million a year, who's a fine old ball player. Why can't I think of his name right now?
Adam Frazier.
Right. Frazier, I think, is leading the National League in base hits.
Base hits, like what is that? Just regular hits?
Hits.
Base hits.
Frazier's either number one or number
singles.
Huh?
Singles. Yeah, I don't know who's
hits,
number one in
hits.
singles.
Hits in general.
No, hits. Hits.
Okay, let's check it out. Let's see who's leading.
Adam Frazier is leading the National League in the hits with 51.
That's what I said. Yeah, exactly. But we don't pay those people money. We pay the people money who hit the ball out of the yard, and then we wonder why they're all swinging for the fences.
And the truth is, when they're in the negotiations, they're not saying I hit 28 home runs last year. They're saying I barreled the ball this many times. I hit the ball over 105 mile hours this many times. You know, that's the way negotiations are going. They're going toward the modern metrics.
I have to turn my sound down because you guys are yelling in my ears and shit.
Really?
Yes.
You know, it's kind of strange. This is aside. Like the only show that comes in too loud is Lenny's show, like something from your broadcasting.
Oh my goodness, today was horrible. Today.
Hey, what happened exactly this morning?
Well, Leonard, I know you're watching this, so I'll be very nice to you. I'm always try to be nice to him whenever I can. I try to be nice. It's not always, but I try. So he gets very frustrated when he can't figure out something, which we all do, okay? And his computer needed to be updated and cleaned out. That's what it needed. And he just never likes to do it because you know how it is. You don't like to do it. Anyways, it just kept stopping. Like the Spreaker studio just kept stopping. He would start the podcast and then he would get impatient because there is a delay in between the podcast and what you guys hear in the chat room. So it's just helpful whenever he wants to know about sound and people just like try to focus.
People were saying that. I think he wasn't seeing the chat room. Like somehow the chat room was frozen on him.
No, if his computer was down, he wasn't seeing the chat room.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just telling you, like, we got to fix today. I cleaned his computer out. He's back on track, but he just gets very frustrated. And
well, he could do that podcast from his iPhone.
That's what he did today. That's what he did do today.
Yeah, it did sound a little different. I was wondering what it was.
Yeah. So he gets frustrated.
But we love Lenny. It's glad he got
what in the world? I mean, think of it. I can't even imagine my life without the podcast. It's what I use to wake me up in the morning. That's how I get up every day with welcome aboard.
It made me think that there's going to be a day somewhere in my future where that won't be there. That's what I thought about today. I'm like, shit.
Yeah,
that's going to suck.
Well, all he's got to do is put one of the common utilities, the cleanup utilities on that seat cleaner. They're cheap. They don't cost.
That's what I used today. I use that today. CC cleaner.
Right.
That's what I use most of the time.
It does a good job. It'll come through and wipe everything out. Yeah.
When people tell you that they don't know how to do something, it's because they don't want to know how to do it. Okay. They're happy with someone else. If they have to learn how to do it, once they know how to do it, then they can't get someone else to do it for them. You see how it works?
Okay.
Lenny he does not want to know how to do that because I do that for him and he's fine with that. He doesn't want to know how to do laundry because I do that. He's fine.
But does he have seat cleaner on his laptop?
Yes, of course. He has it on.
Why did he just run it? Why did he just?
He doesn't know how to run it, and he doesn't want to know how to run it. Okay, he doesn't want to know. So I do it for him. But anyway, it's back. We're good to go. You guys.
Hey, I just want to say hello. You know who's in the chat room? Rottweiler. Someone we haven't seen in a while.
Yay, Rottweiler! How are you doing, Nick? Mr. Rott. Yes. How are you doing, buddy? Let's go back to our topics. I'd like to. He's a big San Francisco Giants fan. Is George still around? Hi, George. I didn't say hi to you.
I've become a Giants fan this year.
Me too. I love their pitching. I have to figure out who. I don't even care who it is. All I know is that their pitching coach their pitching coach staff is like, they need to teach the Mets how to do shit. They're unbelievable. I think they're the best in baseball.
And I like their hitting. It seems like everybody on that team, even their bench, hits enough.
Brandon Crawford is going like crazy. But so one of the comments today, before I got to the chat between you guys, was that Shane Mcclanahan should be interesting and fun to watch. He is obviously.
I agree.
Is he a prospect, a rookie?
He's a prospect, yeah.
Okay, and he's been up for how long? I think is this going to be
Three starts? Yeah.
3
got his
starts? Yeah.
first win the other day. So you guys are excited. He did not. I do not know if did he pitch in the minor leagues? Obviously this year, I don't know because RotoWire is just screwing me out of stats. I have to go to MLB to look up these freaking stats for these minor leaguers, and I'm sure that he pitched in the minors sometime this season. I gotta go look.
I don't think he did this season. He might have pitched in 2019. I think he was drafted in 2019.
So he's been up this whole time in with the race since the start of the season.
Well, no. Well, the minor leagues didn't really start until late.
Where has he been pitching?
Oh, he's been in the bull. He was in the bullpen. He was
okay.
He was a multi-inning or a 1 or 2 inning guy.
Now he has started 4 games now at the major league level, so we have kind of an idea, right? Do we have any kind of sense of what he's going to do? His ERA is 4.6. Why is it exciting to watch him? Is what I'm asking.
Well, I think it's just the shiny new rookie thing. I'm a little burnt out on Tampa Bay rookie pitchers, personally.
It's because he throws the ball 100 miles an hour. So
yeah, he does throw 100 miles an hour.
I'm excited for him.
What are you excited about? You're the one that wrote the comment. So
you got a lefty throwing 100, 101. He's got 3 good pitches. So his sliders wipe out. His fastball is devastating, and I believe he's started working on his changeup, and he does have a curveball. The 2 home runs he gave up yesterday, his slider got stuck in the middle, and he paid for it.
Okay.
But his ERA is high because he pitches 4 and 5 innings. So if you give up 1 or 2 runs in 5 innings, it's going to be high.
Okay.
Well, but if he pitched 8 innings, he'd give up 3 or 4 runs, right? That's the way ERA works.
Yeah, but last night I watched his starts because I did get a chance to pick him up. For some reason, he sat my waiver wire. I don't know why.
Well, I do. I could tell you why. You want me to?
Go ahead.
His bats are not good. He doesn't pitch enough. He did pitch 5 1/3 yesterday. That is exciting because that says that he can get a win now at least. But every start before that was only 4 innings, and I feel like Dinelson Lamet is doing the same crap. We didn't talk about this at the beginning, but I do want to touch on this idea that San Diego, I think, is putting. If you read on RotoWire, you see that Dinelson Lamet is going to the bullpen. But I talked to Malpal today. He said that I do believe that they're going to put these guys in as a starter. One of them is going to get the term starter, right? They're going to get considered the starter, but they're going to split the innings in a start to keep their innings down. It's going to be Weathers and Lamet, and they're going to pitch like 6 innings combined.
Yep, and that upsets me because I have Weathers, and I like Weathers a lot.
I only am thankful because if he starts to be able to qualify as a reliever, Lamet, right, and he –
yes,
that's great for my head-to-head league because I'd have to put in a reliever, and otherwise Lamet is useless. Okay, what he's doing right now, 2 innings here, 2 innings there, it's not enough. I need more innings in this points league.
If they're piggybacking pitchers, you want the guy who comes in second because he's the guy who's going to get the win.
But who is it going to be?
Shane Mcclanahan, when he was pitching 4 innings, it was Luis Patino, and I thought that was a kind of a bit of a steal, but they only won 1 game. But yeah,
are they always going to put the same guy in to start and the same guy in that? Is it going to always be Weathers then Lamet or Lamet then Weathers?
It seems like the way the rotation will work. That's their the way it'll work. Instead of doing 6 starters, they could just do essentially 2 in the game. That's the way San Diego wants to roll until Mech and Pruvy can pitch longer into games.
And if you think about the way pitchers work, even if you're going to be the middle guy, but you know you're going to pitch 3 or 4 innings, you have to be on a schedule, so it works out better to do it the same week.
Yeah,
they're going to hit more often than not. It's not going to be perfect, but they're going to hit more often than not.
I think they like Mcclanahan. I believe they believe he's going to be a starter, but they're limiting him this year.
For sure, they think he's going to be.
Lamet, I still think he did start last year, but I still think they're worried about the arm still. I don't know if they're
definitely, dude. Mcclanahan is a starting pitcher. That's what they're trying to get him up to be able to pitch 5 innings in a game, and I think he will. He just did. But the problem with Lamet is that his injuries are so just fragile, and I don't know, man. That's how I feel. Kind of like with, the same thing that when these injuries are so fragile with these pitchers, if you do not be careful with their innings, then you find them just back at square one. But Malpal, I'd like to ask you what you think about this. Is that true what you said to me earlier that Weathers and Lamet are going to share and keep their innings down like that way.
They haven't announced anything officially, and they never do. But it's just the recent pattern is that's what they're going to do. They brought when Lamet started last time, they brought Weathers in. When Weathers started the other night, they brought Lamet in, and they're going to baby Lamet because for obvious reasons. And Weathers is what, like 21 years old?
Yeah,
22. So they're going to limit him, and they're just going to. I think they're going to piggyback, try and get 6 innings out of it, 6 maybe 7 innings, and turn it over to a really good bullpen. And I think it's pretty smart, actually.
Can I ask you a question, Malpal?
Yeah.
Who would you want in the rotation, Lamet or Weathers?
If I had to take one or the other, I'd take Weathers.
Are you saying that as a Padre fan or as a fantasy baseball guy?
As a fantasy baseball guy, because I think it's all about risk and managing your risk, right? I think Lamet is an injury risk still, and he's going to be limited innings. They're just not going to push him.
Oh no,
2 or 3 innings. I just don't see it.
Oh no.
Weathers, I think he's more likely to get to that 5 innings if he can. The problem with Weathers is he throws a lot of pitches.
He's got 4. He's solid. What happened?
Did you just see Taiwan Walker went out of the game?
Yes.
Is that what you just saw? I could tell by looking at it.
Wow, I picked him up this week.
I could tell when I looked at you. I saw that 10 minutes ago.
What is it?
I just
Another
saw
injury.
Hey, Joe, can I ask Joe a question? Because he seems to be the big Shane Mcclanahan guy. Tell me why I should be excited about Shane Mcclanahan more than I should have been excited about Brendan McKay last year or the year before.
I'm excited about Mcclanahan because the knock on him coming in, the reason they didn't move up and started was his control. And what I've seen, when he's missing the slider and the plate, his walks are not high. I've seen him control the slider pretty well. And his fastball's been – that's his knock was command of it. It's been pretty good for what I've seen. For someone that throws 101 left-handed as hopefully be a starter one day, I'm excited for that. The control of that fastball excites me.
I guess what I was saying is, like, why is this different than Brendan McKay was 2 years ago?
I had
Brendan McKay was a bigger prospect, wasn't he?
McKay was a bigger prospect.
Why are we talking about Josh Fleming, who pitched 5 innings and gave up 1 hit?
Fleming's
he doesn't
nice.
strike anyone out, though.
Yeah.
He's a nice little pitcher.
But McKay just didn't have anything. He didn't have that out pitch that was like, okay, you get a 2-2 count, you're battling till a hit or misses. Mcclanahan, fastball, slider, that's his out pitch. He could throw either one.
Douglas, you got anything to say? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
We were talking.
No, you're good.
Keep
I mean,
on
if you get a
talking.
lefty that throws 101, I think he's the only lefty starter that throws 100.
Can I ask a question, though? If you're a fantasy owner, kind of piggybacking what Douglas said, is it worth the risk of a guy? What's his upside if he's pitching 4 or 5 innings a game as a rookie and all the problems a rookie pitcher can have? Versus the downside. I mean, the downside is he's a guy who pitches 5 innings and gives up 4 runs, and his upside is 5 innings of shutout ball. Now, is the downside greater than the upside to hurt your team?
Well, think about it. Mcclanahan, if he starts 5 innings, they're going to move him to the bullpen. They trust him 4 or 5 innings, so he's the piggyback guy in Tampa. So just like piggyback off of Douglas, you want that second guy. So you're going to get a guy they want to start coming in the third. It's Tampa.
I guess my question, I should have asked this, is how much are you going to invest in this guy for this year? Because is he really – I mean, he's got great stuff. He throws 101, and when he's on, he's unhittable. He is one of those guys. But is he going to be really valuable for your fantasy team this year?
Mcclanahan has pitched in 4 games, and he started all 4. He's never come in relief.
I know, but I guess the question: how much fab would you spend on a guy like this who's limited innings, and he could get beat up in those limited innings on occasion, just because of the.
In my league, I mean, we don't. The main one we don't have fab necessarily, but Mcclanahan would. I mean, Dynasty obviously is very good for him, but season long it's tough. If you have a spot, say bottom of your pitching staff, and you can get a guy that get you 7 to 8 Ks a night when he pitches, 4 or 5 innings, that's still valuable. I don't chase wins anymore. I'm done chasing wins. Wins is
Can I ask the same question in terms not of Fab? Like you have a choice between Tampa Bay pitchers right now. Who do you think would have a better rest of the season? Would it be Shane Mcclanahan or Ryan Yarbrough? And Ryan Yarbrough's run of the mill, right? He's an okay pitcher. He's not great. He's good enough.
Can I bring up somebody that's available in everybody's league? When you're done with that, I want to just bring up.
If there's someone in there you want, you can go free, but it's just.
That's tough between those two because Yarbrough's going to pitch a lot of innings this year. He's going to start. He's going to be in the bullpen. That's tough.
Then that goes to Malpel's point about is it worth the risk? I guess it is because one of the things, the first thing you do when you join a fantasy league is you try to win games and try to win pennants. But the second thing you try to do is you try to one-up people. And so if McClanahan is great, you can go, nah, I was the guy who got it, right? And that's what and that's really what you're going for.
Well, I play mine is a head-to-head dynasty category. I punt saves. I punt a couple categories. I go. We don't have an innings limit. We do have innings pickup, but I'll chase innings and Ks if I can get them. And we carry a pretty big roster when it comes to pitching staffs. So if he can get me 4 or 5 innings, as long as he can get me 7, 8 Ks, he's worth keeping. If he's 5 innings,
that's a lot of Ks. You're talking striking out 2 batters an inning.
What is he? I didn't check after yesterday's start.
This guy.
Who's the person you can pick up on the waiver wire you're talking about?
Yeah, who's the?
How about this guy? It's Chris Bubick, Bubic. I don't know how to say his name exactly, but okay.
I think it's Bubic because it's Yugoslavian.
I don't think there's a bitch at the end of it.
IC is generally an itch. But anyway,
what it says just a C. There's no H. What do you mean? And this is a different language we're talking about.
It derives from the Slavic countries.
Bubis. I don't know. Whatever it is. It's
Kansas City.
Yeah.
On May 8th, he had to come in early because this pitcher that they wanted to come up, they brought up Daniel Lynch to start. He could not hang. Okay. He barely, I don't even know if he made it out of the first inning, but he was horrible. This guy, Chris Bubick, Bubis, B, I'm just going to call him Chris B. Okay. He came in and pitched 5 2/3 innings in relief. He basically came to relieve this Daniel Lynch, and he did very good. He didn't give up any earned runs, and he allowed only 1 hit in 5 2/3. So then they give him another chance this past week, May 13th. He's actually on the schedule to pitch again tomorrow, but he went another 5 innings, 3 hits, but he walked 4, which we don't like, struck out 6, and he has on the season a 1.42 ERA, which I do not expect it to be continuing like that low, but he's only 23. They're going to give him a chance to stick in the rotation, especially now, because I think that their number 1 starter, which is Danny Duffy, is out with injury. So I see him continuing to get opportunities. He hasn't given up any home runs. Look, he was a long reliever before they put him in I don't think that they really thought about putting him in the rotation at all, but they're going to give him another chance until he messes it up. He hardly has any experience at the minor league level. From what I see, he made it to A ball, and I don't see anything after A ball except for the majors, which, that was funky last year, but he pitched 50 innings last year, made 10 starts for the Kansas City Royals. Do you guys? I don't even remember him being a starter last year.
I remember him. He was there.
I remember.
Do you think that it's too early to maybe take a chance? So we all love these guys that are about to come up. Like we love Alek Manoah. I do like Alek Manoah actually, but I'm talking about this Logan Gilbert or whoever. We're so excited about these young prospects coming up. We don't pay attention to the young prospects that are finding their way. Maybe that's all.
Bubick,
I would definitely.
He seems to be one of these ground ball guys. So
okay, 60% ground balls,
and not a big strikeout guy. So those guys are risky. He could fool people for a few starts, sure, but you just understand the risk of getting a guy like this.
In 2020, he pitched 50 innings. He was 1-6 with a 4.32 ERA and a 1.48 WHIP.
Mm-hmm. But he was 22 years old.
No, he's one of those. There was a point about 2 years ago where everyone was talking about the Kansas City Royals' young pitching prospects, and there were 4 names, and Bubick was one of those. There was Singer, there was Lynch, there was Coar, who hasn't come up yet, and then there's Chris Bubick. And you kind of get Jackson Coar. He was both Coar and Bubick were drafted with like first-round supplemental picks in the same year,
Right.
But the other guys got so much more attention, Singer and then Lynch behind him, that these guys kind of fronted. But if you really looked at what Bubick did in the whatever his name is, you got me confused now.
Chris
did
B.
in the minors, like he was the guy that looked like he was always out pitching the other guys, just he wasn't doing it in a way that was flashy. Like he was keeping his ERA down, striking out enough, but not a great number, just doing the things, you know? And I mean, we have the same worries we have about Mcclanahan about how long will he pitch, but you know, why not fill in with the guy? And I don't, you know, I think of, I liken it to about 10 years ago, what happened with the Mets. And they had Harvey, Wheeler, DeGrom, and who was the fourth guy? There was 4 pitchers they had come up.
Syndergaard, they had Syndergaard.
Oh, Syndergaard, right? The of those 4, the guy that was hyped the least was DeGrom, and he's turned out to be the best one of them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Bubick is that guy. I mean, I don't think he's going to pitch more than 100 innings. He only pitched over 100 innings once. But he's going to be a part of that. If the Royals have a future, he's definitely part of that. Would I pitch him in fantasy this year? I think he's streamable. I don't know what he's
Alex Wood, dude. Alex Wood is pitching in San Francisco, which I think is, we've already talked about how great their pitching coaches are or something. They're turning people around. This guy is, do we believe in what he's doing? Seriously? How can you believe? Well,
when he's healthy, Andy, he's outstanding. But he has a persistent lower back issue that after the All-Star break, I'll go back to Malpal. You need to curb your expectations. He has been brilliant, but he was 16-2, I think, one year. But
the last 2 years, he's had an ERA over 5.5, dude. His ERA is over 5.5 the last 2 seasons, 2020 and 2019.
Right. Because he's had some back problems. But
yeah, he's pitched like 6 and 7 games those years.
That's
true.
When
he's healthy, he's a good pitcher. But he's got persistent, you know, he's got whatever.
Why did he only start 2 games last year, but he was available?
He was injured. Well, it was a short season for one thing.
He appeared in 9 games, but he only started 2 games.
Well, who was he with last year?
It was the Dodgers.
They had him in the bullpen.
Oh, yeah. He was a bullpen.
Dodgers had like 50 pitchers.
Yeah. Okay, that's very true. I will give him credit for that. And then in 2019, he made 7 starts. So I should give him the benefit of the doubt, especially because he didn't make enough starts to really say. I will say this: his velocity is not going anywhere. His velocity continues to like either rise or stay the same at about like 92%, close to 92 miles an hour.
You cannot deny he's been one of the best starters so far this season.
Well, yeah, this season.
Yes. I just wanted to know if you guys believe it, and it sounds like you do.
No, I believe in him when he's healthy. I do believe in himself.
Yeah. He's the new Rich Hill. When he's pitching, he's good.
What do you make of Rich Hill? Do we believe?
He's had a really good. Wood has had a really good career when you look at it when healthy. I mean, he's been really good. So
he is good.
He's able to get away with whatever he's throwing, which is average strikeouts, some ground balls, and he throws innings when he's healthy. So I think he's, Willie. What's his current ERA?
It's good. It's
1.5 or something.
1.75, I think.
Yeah.
He's not Bob Gibson, but
he's going to be worse than that. But
I think crush him though. Lefties are just, they own him, dude. Lefties.
In a new era where batters are batting 233, I'm not going to say 375. He's probably going to be like a 3.4, 3.3 pitcher because ERAs are going to go down as a whole because people aren't hitting.
I don't know, dude. His FIP is 273. So if that is the case, that it raises up to 273, then I'm all in, dude, for that for sure.
No, I thought about picking him up. I thought about picking him up today, And I picked
Why
up.
do you think he's throwing? Why do you think he's inducing so many ground balls? Because his ground ball over his career, it seems like it's about 40% ground balls. Now it's 60%. And how does that happen? Is it possible to increase your, the number of ground balls that you induce?
Change your repertoire, and the seams are different on the baseball. I'm boring everybody to death, but
No, you're
anybody
not.
that's throwing breaking stuff, Andy, the seams on the baseball, if you're a good breaking ball pitcher, chances are you're going to be a better breaking ball pitcher in 2021 than 2020 because the ball's been rigged again.
Well,
It has.
Well, I mean,
It's been rigged. They rig it all the time and they lie about it.
well,
Does
breaking ball usage is up all over the league. So, I mean,
There's a reason, Joe.
well, does spin rate affect? I guess breaking
Yeah.
ball means movement, right? That means like lots of movement on the ball.
correct.
Because they drop out of sight. Well, what I'm saying is Major League Baseball keeps doing this stuff, and they keep acting like politicians in Washington and lying about it, rather than just coming out and saying, we changed the ball this year because they were getting too many easy home runs, so we have rigged the ball to make hitting more difficult.
They
Oh
did
my
tell
God.
you
We can't come out and tell the fans something honest for a change.
this year. They told you that they
But
did it.
they also said the new ball wasn't going to have a higher exit velocity, and they are finding out that that's incorrect.
Do we know that it's incorrect because of the
That's
ball
what they
that
said.
they're having a higher exit velocity?
That's what they said when they tested. That was going to be what the exit velocity was supposed to go down.
So I read that the laboratory test said that it only is going to affect the distance of the baseball if it goes past 375 feet or something, which is like almost in every park, it's a home run.
Can I ask a troubling question?
So why, if it doesn't matter, how far? I mean, am I wrong on that? I could have read it wrong, maybe.
I thought it was
Can I
300
ask
feet
a
is where the
question?
problem was.
Okay.
Land on the baseball you want and stick with it and stop fricking around with it.
Well,
Okay?
the problem was that we had a baseball they used for a long time. Then they moved the baseball facilities from the Caribbean islands to Central America, and then in doing that, there was changes that weren't predicted. So now they're just trying to correct the mistakes that they made from 4 or 5 years ago. They came out and they gave the Super Bowl, which made
They said they used that from those were just extra balls that they had in their inventory from the year before, or the playoffs for I don't remember exactly what it was.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't think they set out to screw with the balls.
We had to
The balls
literally,
happen sort of naturally, and now they're trying to get back to normal.
Do you really believe that they don't know why this company that's making the baseballs, they don't know? They just change the way that they make the baseballs just willy-nilly and don't tell anybody?
Well,
I'm sorry, that doesn't.
There's that Meredith Wills who writes about this stuff all the time on the Athletic and stuff. And a couple years ago when they made that move, the big thing was the way they dried the leather was different.
Right,
And
but you're telling me that you don't believe baseball knew about this. Do you think that they...
I mean, the decision to when they did it in the Caribbean, they would dry the leather outside, as they had historically done for even your leather clothes and stuff.
But I'm talking about the baseball manufacturing company.
They made a decision when they moved to Central America that they wanted the drying to be uniform.
Did they change?
So they started drying the leather indoors in a regulated environment, which made the leather different. It was
just a couple years ago, what Mitchell's talking about is that they did change the ball. They decided not to tell anybody, and it took investigating and lab work, scientific lab.
I'm saying they did it sort of accidentally.
That the core was different in the ball, and then it was basically like MLB saying we didn't know the core was different, that our manufacturer had changed the way that they make baseballs.
I believe they 100% knew, because you're hitting home runs. People are watching the game with more home runs, getting more excited. Players are getting paid. They're not going to say anything.
But
if that were true, why would they change the ball to make the home runs less?
Because the pitchers were starting to notice the difference in the minor league ball and the major league ball, and the blisters were way up in 2019.
I don't know if they were the blisters. I love the fact that the pitcher has a better grip on the ball now. Right? Am I right that the threads are thicker on the new ball?
They're supposed to be more raised, is what they're supposed to be.
Look at Dylan Cease and look how much movement he's getting, or how much break he's getting on his curveball.
Is this because they're able to grip? Look at Bauer, dude. Bauer is freaking.
Look, Dylan Cease's spin rate is way higher than it's ever been this year with the new ball, and now his fastball is, I wouldn't say unhittable, but he was getting lit up with it last year.
Been terrific.
Oh, Bowers.
Yeah, please go ahead, Malpal. Go ahead.
Can I just say, I don't know what happened to me. Can I just say about I don't know about these balls and all this stuff. It seems like it's the same ball for every pitcher, right? So I go back to it's all relative to what the rest of the league is doing. I'll say this about Alex Wood, since he was the pitcher that kind of brought this up. He's always been an extreme ground ball pitcher. So the fact that his career is like 49, 50% ground ball, and it's 60. That could easily be explained by he's only had 5 starts or 6 starts. So he's a ground ball pitcher. Historically, he's a ground ball pitcher. So it should be no.
But is he that big of a ground ball pitcher that it's 60% from 44% to 60%? That's a big jump. Maybe it hasn't stabilized. I don't know that to be true.
When he was healthy, he's always been right about 50%, which is elite company. That is elite. That's what's made him a good pitcher when he's healthy, is because he's a ground ball machine.
Okay.
And he's just doing the same thing now. I'm sure the ball is, making it even more so, but I'm just saying he's a good pitcher and he's a ground ball pitcher, and so the fact that he's at 60 instead of 50,
not 50. Well, you have to go all the way back to 2017 for him to break 50% ground ball rate. And I mean, if you forget about the last 2 years completely where he was injured, then I can see, okay, he is a decent ground ball pitcher at 48% in 2018. But since then, and maybe it's because he's been hurt, he certainly was not a ground ball pitcher to an extreme.
He's been hurt the last 2 years, but you keep going back. I mean, anything about 40%, the league average is 40%.
His spin rate is really low, actually. His spin rate doesn't have anything to do with his ground balls, I don't think.
No. I think that he's always been a ground ball pitcher because he has a really funky delivery, which is very, he hides the ball till the very end. You ever see him pitch? He kind of crouches down like Batman or something and holds the ball. You should look at him. It's a weird motion.
Yeah, it's an unusual delivery, but it works. It works for him. So
I mean, I have no stats to back it up, but every time I see a good San Francisco pitcher, it seems like they're very good at ground balls. I have no proof to it. Maybe it's something they teach different, that maybe that's something
they're bringing pitchers back, okay? They're bringing pitchers back. Kevin Gausman, it started with him. Now they got, Johnny Cueto is pitching good. De Sclafani, he's pitching excellent this year. Aaron Sanchez, he's on the IL right now, but he's been pitching
better
really
than anyone would have thought on Aaron Sanchez.
For sure. And, Logan Webb is the new up-and-comer. I had to, choose whether or not I would pitch him or – I was actually going to bench Eduardo Rodriguez for Logan Webb, but I'm a little concerned. I kept Logan Webb.
Another good game tonight, Andy.
He did?
Yep.
Oh, I hope that Eduardo Rodriguez. Okay.
He's
on my bench.
6 hits, no earned run, 4 Ks, 1 walk.
He's on my bench, so at least I have him on my team, right? I mean, I had to choose who to bench this week, and I couldn't do that. So, okay, let's just keep on trucking along here. I do want to talk about a couple of players that are on the rise that maybe aren't owned in your league or everybody's league. We talked about, Mitchell had a whole list of risers and fallers and stuff, but I thought, let's just keep it on the positive. What are you going to do about the fallers? You just either have to choose to, you're going to have to make a decision sooner than later, I think, on these players. If they're mediocre, what you're going to do with them. But for now, I'd rather try to help add players to people's teams. So I do want to start this little segment. I want to talk about Robbie Grossman. He bats leadoff. That's what I know for sure. He
has a 500 OBP.
He could take a walk. That's for sure.
500 OBP. He has about 38 hits and 26 walks. I got him for $1 in my league, in one of my leagues. I put in a bid for him for $7 in my other league this weekend, which is the OBP league, which is the one I should have gotten him in. And I got outbid. A guy bid $10. This is on a $100 budget.
There it is.
Okay, let me just say the
His
downside.
batting average means nothing, which he has brought up 40 points, by the way.
Yes, he did bring it up 40 points. Now it's 250. But either way, the league average is 230. So let's not even go there with the batting average.
But he's stolen 7 bases. He's an OBP gold.
Yeah,
Okay.
if he gets on base enough that the 250 average isn't going to matter for playing time purposes.
Right.
And he's going to steal you the bases and hit a few home runs. He's a good player.
He's
He
on
is.
Detroit now. That's one thing. He's on Detroit. He plays every day. He doesn't strike out a ton, and he does take walks. That's for sure. So on base percentage leagues, this guy should be on. And I mean, I'm trying to get out of the habit of saying owned, but sometimes I just get all tongue tied because I don't know what else to say. Right now, he's probably not. I just think that he's probably. There's a good chance that he's available in your league.
He was this weekend. He was picked up.
He probably was on like the number, but he's not that flashy when it comes to like home runs or stolen bases, but he absolutely gets RBIs. He's batting leadoff every day this past
You're
week.
right. No, I'm a big fan.
He's 31. So
He's 64% owned in CBS.
49% in Yahoo.
but
So-
he's 31 and he's been in the majors since 2013. We are not dealing with a brand new player here. We are
Okay.
dealing with
I don't think he really ever got an opportunity to you're going to play and just play. Like most of that
Yes, he
time
did.
was with the A's when they
He's
were doing
been
all that flipping around stuff.
Yeah, Doug is right. He's been platoon his entire career.
482 plate appearances in 2019. Last year he played in 51 out of 60 games. The year before that,
Yeah, and
130
in 51 out of 60 games last year, he had 8 home runs and 8 stolen bases, batting 250. Like what we see is what we are getting this year.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. He's always, I really agree with you 100%. That think about that though. How many did he have total last year? You're saying he had
He was 8-8, if I remember that correctly.
He had 8 and 8 in the shortened season. So that are
That-
He was one of those guys that
That's
should have
2020.
been 2020.
That's a 2020 player over a full season.
at least because you have to multiply it by 3. 60, it's 180 is multiplied by 3. So like if you multiplied his stats by 3, you would have a 25-25 player. Is that what you guys are expecting out of this guy?
No.
He's had
Well, I was
8
expecting low end 2020 possibly.
He has in the last 11 games, in the last 50 plate appearances, he's had 11 RBIs, 2 home runs, and 3 stolen bases. What do you think of that?
I say he finishes up 17 home runs, 70 RBIs, and 22 stolen bases.
Okay.
And that's not bad for a buck. Which is
Wait a
what
minute.
I
How many
thought.
RBIs is he going to get?
I think he might end up with between 60 and 70 before it's all over with.
Malpal, do you like Robbie Grossman? I mean, I did bring him up because he's available in a lot of leagues and he's helpful.
Well,
I
I'm
drafted him
all-
in at least one.
What'd you
all
say?
ears on- Go ahead.
No, he wants to know what you said.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm all ears on Robbie Grossman. I got to admit, I rarely think of him, and I think it's about opportunity. I know he's had a lot of plate appearances, but he's got a set position in the lineup. He knows he's going to play every day. So I'm guessing he's just right time, right place. I wonder. Did he sign a 2-year deal or a 1-year deal?
I think it was 2 year.
Anyone? I'm wondering how
Let
long.
me check
he'll
it
be
out.
Just wondering
Also-
how long he'll be around in Detroit. I could see a guy like that be dealt, and all of a sudden he's a pinch.
Also, look at his
You'll be
look
traded.
at look at his
2 years.
manager, AJ Hinch.
Yes,
I mean,
AJ Hinch. Yay,
Yeah,
AJ.
he's really good at dealing with leadoff hitters. So I'm pretty sure.
Absolutely.
He's getting paid $5 million a year through 2022. Okay,
Okay.
He did sign a 2-year deal. So and I do believe that he's good defensively. I believe that he is like going to stay in the lineup no matter what because of his defense. I'm not positive of that, but I do think that
And
that's
it's
true.
Detroit. I don't think they really have many options to
They have
replace.
rookie, dude. They have prospects. Let's talk about a couple prospects that are going to come up. Like we're
Good segue.
starting to see the flow of prospects. I put a list of prospects on the rundown tonight, and
Oh, good
because of the fact mostly that these prospects may not be the most like the best prospects, but I think that a good chunk of them have a path to playing time sooner than later. Like the one that I'm kind of most concerned, I love Vidal Brujan. I think he's a great prospect, and I think that he will perform good. He's worked his way up through the minor leagues, and I just wonder though what they're going to do at shortstop in Tampa Bay. At second base, he plays second base, shortstop, and outfield.
They're moving him to. They're playing him outfield more, I believe, right now.
Yeah, maybe he has a spot back out in the outfield with Brujan, my boy Brujan. What do you guys think of Brujan? When's he coming
he's
up?
like the classic Tampa Bay player, right? I mean, he plays like five positions. He's got speed. I mean, he's super fast.
Yeah.
And he's demonstrating so far, he's growing up, that he's got a decent amount of power. At least he's got 5 home runs in 2 weeks. But
seriously, 5 home runs. I forgot to say his stats. Let me finish his stats. AAA Durham right now. He's got a 319 batting average, 12 runs, 5 home runs, and 3 stolen bases, and 12 RBIs. He's tearing it up in the minor leagues.
Thing I like about him, besides I like his name, but he's never disappointed at any level. He's been really good at every level he's played at.
Yeah.
And I like the guys.
The power is relatively new. That's the one thing. Like
you grow into power, though, Douglas. Don't even bring that up. I mean, you can grow into power.
Well, I'm just saying, like people look at that and think he's going to hit 30 home runs this year, or whatever that equivalent is. I would say you wouldn't draft him. You wouldn't bid on him based on that. Yeah, he's going to hit 12, 15 home runs. If he does come
up, he's coming up as a leadoff batter, dude. If he comes up, they are going to do it because they need a leadoff batter.
No, that's something he's always been in the minors. He's always been able to hit. He's hit like 320 almost every year, and he walks enough to push it into a really elite on-base percentage.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's valuable if he gets second base, shortstop. If he's outfield, a little bit more depth. But man, I'm forced to read about him now because I missed him in our waiver wire, and the guy has had him for a couple weeks and has been dangling because I've been after him for pretty much the entire offseason.
Well, he's hitting like crazy right now, okay? And I could tell you he's played so far this season in just, how many games has it been? I don't know because RotoWire, but it does tell me the number. It tells me no stats, but it does tell me games by position. He's played 4 times at second base. He's played third base, and he's played left field, center field, and right field. I will just add these up real quick. There's about 10 games he's played in, and he's played all 3 outfield positions, second base and third base so far. They are absolutely trying to get him playing everywhere because, obviously the more flexible he is position-wise, the better chance he has of coming up and finding a spot to play. Vidal Brujan is as exciting as any youngster.
Can I ask you a question?
Oh,
Wander Franco or Brujan rest of the season? Because I know Wander Franco, we've talked about it late.
No question in my mind, dude, that Vidal Brujan is more ready to be at the major league level and will perform better than his boy, your boy, whoever's boy, Wander.
Hey, we talked about him last week, so I figured we'd, mention
Wander Franco is constantly being brought up to me all the time.
Nobody brought up Clinic, so I had to talk about it. It's been
Clinic's doing fine, but I do not like his attitude. Okay, did you see him the other night when he didn't like what the umpire was calling on him? He's already thrown his helmet and mean mugging the umpire, and I say you need to be a little more humble when you're young and just shut your trap hole for a minute. That's how I feel.
Sorry.
The thing I like about Brujan is even if he comes up and he sucks, he has at least the potential to help you with stolen bases.
Yeah,
worst case scenario, he's gonna run. He's fast. This guy is super fast. So even if he gets 200, he could still get you 8-10 bags. Maybe.
Well, you think 260? You think 260 even struggling could be the floor, based on what we're seeing so far?
I could.
I don't see 200 with him unless he. I don't see 200 if he just flat out, falls.
My point is, he could really suck, but at least you'll likely get something out of him while he's sucking. That's the worst case scenario. That's all.
The worst case scenario is much less on him because he'll probably steal your bases even if he doesn't hit.
Like Robbie Grossman, more stolen bases than Robbie Grossman.
Well,
he should.
In 2019, he stole 48 bases. In 2019, he stole 48 bases. Okay.
I mean, this guy is Billy Hamilton.
He had 55 one year.
And he
Yeah.
steals a lot of bases, so obviously that goes down, but he's going to steal bases. He's going to get on base. Look at his stats compared to Wander Franco. My whole point here is that everybody's so excited for these young prospects, but when you look at their experience in the minor leagues, you have to at least consider that these guys haven't pitched or hit above a certain level. And then you look at the guy like Brujan and you see that he's worked his way up the minor league ladder since 2015. I will never choose Wander Franco over him. Not until I at least see that he, because I believe he's the most ready to be in the majors. That's just so. But I don't know that like over their career that who's going to be the better player as of yet, obviously. But I just feel like I'm always looking at their experience, and I love Alek Manoah. Okay, I just loved it. When he comes out, right now he's got a 0 ERA. He's got 2 wins and no losses. He's pitched 12 innings. That means he's gone 6 innings each start. He had, like I said, a 0 ERA, and his walks, let's check it out. 2 walks in 12 innings.
Yeah. What level is he at?
He's at AAA right now.
Triple.
But in his career, he's only before this year, and I know Malpal is very accepting. Like people can skip levels. He is pitching at AAA right now, and he's pitching phenomenal. But the highest that he ever made it before this was high A. So he's questioning everybody, though.
The Blue Jays loved him enough almost to give him an invite into the rotation opening season.
Yes, they did. They brought him to spring training for sure, and he was very impressive then. He's very impressive so far this year.
Do you prefer him over Nate Pearson?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I just do.
I have Nate Pearson, and I would take Manoah. Yes.
But why? Do you remember we loved Nate Pearson? What happened to him?
Bring it up. Why bring it up?
Everybody loved Nate Pearson, but
he has no command. He has no command.
Right. He didn't have any command when he has a chance.
0 command.
But he did in the minors, though. Okay.
He hasn't in the majors last year or this year.
You're not giving him a lot of chance.
He falls apart.
He had that playoff appearance that he did show what everybody's been wanting. Now he's only one start in the minors, so I'm not totally out on Pearson, but I would take Manoah so far. It's been there. I mean, my little innings that we've seen, it's good.
Yeah. But we said the same thing about Nate Pearson is all I'm saying. We said the same thing when we saw Nate Pearson's minor league stats. We said it's that good. And yes, I mean, Manoah hasn't had a chance to screw that up yet, but
Pearson had the 104-mile-an-hour fastball that got him that attention. Manoah, you're hearing from his pitches that he can throw. He's got multiple. I think that's the difference.
In fantasy baseball over the years, I've got plenty of stories of like a batter coming up and sort of carrying you the last thing. Like I don't remember any rookie pitcher being that good, and there's usually like 4 or 5 rookie pitchers that come up every year, and if there's one good one, there's 5 others that weren't that good. It just takes them a while. Yeah. It's like I don't know if just like I didn't say I wanted Shane Mcclanahan. I like Chris Bubick, but I'm not going to really go after him except for spot starting. I don't really care about Alex Manoah. I don't think he's going to help me in fantasy this year. Dynasty is a different thing, but that's kind of a cop-out. In Dynasty, there's always a future. But for this year, why would I pick him over, like I said, somebody who's already pitching right now who's okay? I don't see it. It's like, can you name
one Nate
pitcher?
Pearson, is he good? Is he okay?
I think Pearson will eventually be all right. But to expect him to come out right now and be Clayton Kershaw is crazy.
No, he pitched 3 innings, and then they called him directly up. I mean, I know they had to fill this Nate Pearson right immediately.
No. Well, I'm telling you that Nate Pearson worked his way up the minor league system.
I'm saying
at high A, double A, triple A. He pitched at all the levels, and he was really good at all the levels. And then now we have Alek Manoah, who we're putting ahead of Nate Pearson because of the fact that Nate Pearson struggled, to say the least. He struggled when he got to the majors, and that is something that you have to look at.
I would probably take Pearson over Manoah just because they'd be cheaper.
Are we destined to do this again?
The last pitcher to go ahead.
I was going to say, would you rather have John Lester or Alex Manoah?
Lester's a little too far down the chain.
Lester's been okay. Hey,
No, I mean
Sure.
Lester's an inning eater in that he's going to be a fine inning eater, but I'd rather go with somebody who's a little bit higher. That's why I brought up Ryan Yarbrough on the Tampa Bay. But those kind of guys, would I rather have Anthony DeSclafani? Sure. Would I rather have David Price? I'd rather have David Price if he's going to pitch for the Dodgers.
But that's not my question.
yeah. What is?
I'm just
What's
saying,
the question?
I mean, all I'm saying is, your veteran who's kind of proven, who's on the downside, or do you go for the
I feel
star unproven?
I feel like you
Sorry.
could get John Lester on waivers 20 times over for what he's doing. And I would, if you have a spot for Noah, I'd stash him up rather than sitting on Lester.
Yeah, my answer was there are
no
better
right
options
answer. I'm just curious.
than Lester in a
But
in
you
a
think it's
vacuum.
Yarbrough,
I would take Manoah.
But do you think it's Yarbrough that's better than you love this Yarbrough guy?
I'm trying to like I used to. There's always been a guy that's sort of the middle of the road. It used to be Kyle Hendricks, but Kyle Hendricks has become everyone's in love with him now, and so you can't say Kyle Hendricks is a good pitcher. So I don't have an example yet of a guy who's a good pitcher. I would say Brad Keller. He's had a tough year this year.
That's a good example, though. I understand what you're saying.
Yarborough's better than what you think, Andrea.
That's there are these guys that are
Yarborough's
just
better than what
good,
you think.
Really?
guys that are just good pitchers.
How is he better than what I think?
Just because he's a junk. I understand he doesn't have real good stuff, but he has pitched very well overall for Tampa the last 2 or 3 years in various roles. He got like 10, 12 wins.
Yes, as a reliever, as a
middle reliever.
Right, but is he better as a middle reliever and like a multiple inning type of guy where you actually have a chance? Because Tampa Bay, remember, was the first team that went with the opener, so he got a lot of opportunities to get wins when you're coming in after the opener. But right now he's a starter, and he's a total bust as a starter because he does not. Is he in the rotation or not? Maybe he's not even in the rotation.
I don't know.
Yes, he is. He's number 2. The Rays have got to get rid of this guy is in their rotation because they have Mcclanahan, they have Fleming, they have Rich Hill. They need to get rid of Yarbrough as a starting pitcher, or fantasy people. Putting him in as a starting pitcher on your fantasy team is a lose-lose situation.
He's a better reliever in real life in real MLB, and that's what they should be using him and not starting him.
Totally agree. So maybe he's better than I think, but he's not a great.
Well, his ERA this year is 4.20. His WHIP is 1.28.
4.20. Whoopee, 4.20.
His ERA and his FIP are the same.
Then I like him then because he's 4.20 guy. I just keep saying that.
It's like he's a guy that the reason I brought him up, I wasn't wanting to talk about Ryan Yarbrough, but he's a guy that I've picked up through the years, last year, the year before, as a streamer who's given me 3 or 4 good starts. Then he had a stinker and I dropped him. But he's got these games where he throws like 1-hitters and or 1-run games, not 1-hitters, but good games here and there. I think of him as sort of that good player who's on the waiver wire. That's what I think of him as. I'm not touting go out and get the guy. If he has a good matchup, I would pick him up and play him.
He's totally consistent. Every year he does the same thing. He doesn't give up a lot of home runs. He doesn't strike out a lot of batters. He doesn't walk a lot of batters, okay? He does not walk guys very often, but you see his numbers don't change even between a reliever and a starter, but obviously he's better as a reliever because then he can qualify for wins, which he already, he did have he had 14 wins one year, or 16 wins. In 2018, he had 16 wins as a reliever, though, right? He only started 6 games, and he appeared in 38 games, and he only started in 6 of them. He got 16 wins. That's more than freaking starters get all over baseball. So I can understand that. But as a starter, he's junk. That's all. Moving on. How about, have you guys heard of Jesus?
I've had enough. I think it's time to call it a night.
It's 9:49. We should try to wrap up in the next 10 or so
Yes,
minutes.
go ahead. We could wrap up anytime you guys want. I was going to do it at 10, but of course, if you guys are ready. Well, why don't you say a couple of closers to look at? Mitchell, closers. Who do you think to look at for your team?
Barlow. I'm just looking at Barlow right now. He's got a very good. Huh?
Yeah. I agree with Barlow because we have Josh in Kansas City. We don't really know who. There's a lot of closer situations that are in chaos right now. So if we go around the table and everybody says like a closer that they're looking at because of whatever drama is going on in the closer chaos situation. You say you're looking at Scott Barlow. I agree with you. I think that he is going to get a chance to get saves in the near future. Yes.
I'm looking at Michael Fulmer.
That was what I was going to say.
Because they moved him to the bullpen. He wasn't pitching terribly, but since they've moved him there, he's got 2 saves and a win, I think, in his first 3 relief appearances.
He's excellent, dude. As a reliever, he's going to be great. He's like exactly the perfect example of a starter turned reliever where now he's
his stuff is back to what it used to be. It's not bad. He's not pitching bad.
I know,
was
it feels weird just saying his name, right? It feels weird just saying his name. But I think, is going to be he's going to be the setup guy that pitches multiple innings, and he's doing excellent at that. I actually picked him up in a league where I could put, I need 2 relievers, so I'm willing to put him in there. I think he's going to get chances to get wins and a potential save, and mostly just the fact that he's excellent in that spot.
He reminds me of Josh. Josh Hader's at another level, but turning a starter that they believed in, that had some issues, moved them to the bullpen, and it was lights out.
Yeah, for sure. Douglas, who's your closer for people to watch?
I was going to say Michael Fulmer, but I have a go as a backup guy. I think that I think I would pick up Rafael Dolis. He's going to come back from injury this week, and I don't think Romano has a lock on that position.
Yeah,
so that's a name.
And Chatwood too.
Sure.
Tyler Chatwood is somebody that's really could get saves also. Malpal, who do you think that people should be looking at for closing games out?
This is kind of a weak answer, but I would say if you can find an owner of James Karinchak that's kind of down, that he's not saving every game, I would go get him immediately.
Okay. No, that's a good answer.
Clase is starting to have speed bumps.
Yes, he is having problems. What about in Oakland with Trevino and Diekman?
Both bad.
They're both bad closers, right? But they're both really good, setup guys. They really need some help in their closing department. And then in Seattle, I wanted to bring up Seattle. Kendall Graveman is pitching lights out. He will probably hold on to this job until he loses it. Right now, we can
we have a question on the screen.
Yeah, there was a question asked earlier about Minnesota's situation. Do you think Colin May will come back? It fits this topic. Anyone?
Minnesota, dude. Okay, Taylor Rogers and who's their other guy?
Alex Robles.
Okay.
Hansel Robles got the last save.
But what happened to Alex Coleman? What's up with him? He lost it. He lost his half share of this closing role, or what?
Yeah, from what I've seen, he's been moved to the low leverage 7th and 6th innings.
Because I believe that he's the best. I don't know who. I don't know. Hansel Robles. It looks like he's going to get a shot. Absolutely, but I don't trust the fact that because Baldelli said at the beginning of the season.
I think I will take some credit with Daniel on this one. Alex Colomé sucks. And we knew he sucked coming into the year.
No, we did not know he sucked, dude. We did not.
He was Houdini with the White Sox. He was not that good, and the White Sox let him go for a reason, and because they know.
Okay, that's probably true. Okay.
Yeah, kind of got covered up with the fact that they actually signed probably the best reliever on the market. You go, oh, okay, maybe Colomé okay. They just got better. But the truth is, Colomé has always been one of those closers that makes you nervous. He's always been that. He's been a guy that converts enough saves to make it a while. But
I was just gonna say they wrote Colomé off before they signed Hendricks. So I followed that pretty close. So, anyways, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's good. But
good.
I'm telling you right now that Colomé has been effective and efficient closer. Probably he has more saves than anybody in baseball.
He has a lot of saves, but when he pitched for the Rays, I don't think he ever pitched a game where he didn't let a base runner on. That's just the kind of guy he was. But there's nothing wrong with walking one guy. There's nothing wrong with that.
This is the first year that he's had an ERA, dude, above 1.2.
But closers.
Whip, you mean? Whip.
I mean, whip.
There's rare exceptions. But closers who strike out 15 to 18% of their opponents, are disasters waiting to happen. And
What about Chapman?
you've
Doesn't he?
seen-
Oh wait, you mean
it's
low
happening.
strikeouts? Yeah, he does have low strikeouts. You're right. I didn't mean to cut you off, but you're absolutely right about the strikeouts. Hansel Robles, is he better than Taylor Rogers though? And what? So they have to split the saves between two pitchers. They just can't go with Taylor Rogers by himself, or what's the problem here? He's not good either.
They can play matchups. I mean, that's another.
Yeah, Rogers is lefty.
Yeah, that's the
But
only.
Rogers had like 35. I mean,
I was kind of
Rogers,
surprised.
Robles had a number of saves in Los Angeles a couple years ago. I mean, they're all potential closers.
Yeah.
Yes, fine.
It's amazing that their bullpen is this bad, considering they have those three guys.
I got to look at Taylor Rogers. He only has a 3 ERA, which is high.
Oh, did you see your Tion Walker injury? What it is?
No, go ahead, tell me.
Left side tightness. So probably a
He had a
left.
scoreless game going into the third, right? I don't know. I saw it and I wanted to cry.
Yeah, I looked it up. I was like left side tightness or left side tightness. I'm like, well, that's
The side injury is the one where there's going to be no medical reason for it. So it could be 1 day, it could be 3 months.
The oblique, yes, it's the lovely oblique, the side issue that nobody knows, like George Springer has right now. But if you bring them back too early, then you run the risk, then they go back to square one and whatever. So here's my thing. I say that don't lose faith, don't give up.
The Mets need to start stretching their obliques between him and DeGrom.
That's what I feel
Let's just
like.
remove them. Surgically remove your oblique. Let's get this over with.
They need to stretch out a little better or something. Something's going on. Every year we say this, you guys, about the IL. We say this every year, like there's so many players going injured and all this. And really, this year has taken the cake for the number of injuries that we're seeing. But I will say to anybody out there, do not give up yet at all. Trade from strength, right? You should trade from strength if you are stuck in a spot. And that's all I'll say. And you guys, I'll go around the table and we can say bye to everybody. Say bye, Mitchell.
Good show. Thanks, everyone.
Douglas.
Good night, everybody. Thanks, John Garoppolo and Matt Hooper and
John is here.
George Hubspin and all those guys. John had the column 8 question.
Matt Hooper
Thanks
is
for coming
here.
out.
Okay. You guys, nice to see you in the chat. Super. Joe?
I'll be there again next week.
Love it. Okay. Enjoy your new truck. Mal
You know,
Pal?
Joe, if you come back the third time, you might be able to drop your last name. We'll all just know you as Joe.
Tardif.
Yeah.
I like Tardif, though. I do like that. It's a combination of two
I'll
things I
lead by
like.
saying what makes baseball great is Garrett Cole gave up 4 runs in 4 innings to the lowly Texas Rangers, and Danny Mendick has 5 RBIs.
And yesterday, somebody lost to – who lost to Seattle yesterday? What pitcher lost to Seattle? It was like a huge –
The sun-run comeback, wasn't
Bieber.
it? Yes, it was. Shane Bieber yesterday.
Shane Bieber lost to a guy as a career 5.5 ERA.
Love it, dude.
Yeah,
and a bunch of Seattle hitters. Love it. See you guys next week.
Bye.